All right, you Bonnie Dooners, it's time to dust off your starter jackets, rip off those tearaways, and blow into your game cartridges. I'm Sam Blanford.
I'm Ben Simpson.
I'm Pat Sellers.
And I'm Simon Blanford.
And we wish it was the 90s. Well, today it looks like everyone kicked a goal as we revisit the Australian cult classic, The Castle. Regular Joes, Simon, Pat and I welcome back Ben Simpson. Thanks for coming, Ben.
All right, very happy to be here.
What was the first one you did? Pokemon.
Pokemon, yeah. So when I heard The Castle was happening, I was very excited to get involved.
Rave reviews, that Pokemon one. The Castle was released in 1997 and was dubbed this year's Full Monty. And this movie has captured the hearts of many and still does to this day. So we'll jump straight into our memories, I think. And we'll start with you, Simon. Your memories of The Castle and subsequent rewatches.
I watched it first in about 2000, 2001 perhaps, so year 9 or year 10. And just was immediately in love with it. And have rewatched it often ever since and loved it so much that I taught it on a teaching placement when I was at Teachers College in at St. Pat's Town, and my associate teacher just absolutely loved it. He was making a fool of himself in front of all his kids because he was laughing so hard. And yeah, still love it, obviously.
Pat?
I don't know when I first saw it, but it would have been not too long after release. But it was a family favourite, so it was rewatched constantly all the way through to the DVD period. I remember the old man buying the pool room edition, which came with a nice green velvet DVD case. I think the original rewatches were burnt off TV on a VHS because it had ads in it. But yeah, it had to surely be the old man's favourite movie of all time. There's a mention of Daryl watching Hey Hey It's Sad Day and him laughing with his entire body, I think's the way he puts it. And it's like, that's what was my old man watching The Castle. You're almost watching The Castle to watch the old man watch it.
Yeah, nice. Simpy?
I was actually in Australia when it came out. I moved over there in 97, but I don't remember it at the time because I was a bit young. I was only 8 when it came out, but I think it was about 2001. I was about 12. There was a Video Easy store around the corner from my house. And I remember Dad and me went down and got it out and watched it, and I remember just cracking up the whole time. Pretty sure it was because the old man was just laughing. It's kind of like Pat. He was the same. Dad absolutely loves that movie and just cracks up the whole time. And yeah, since then watched it regularly all the time and just find it hilarious to this day. I actually show a lot of international people that I've met when I lived in Vancouver, and it's kind of a litmus test I use on if I'm actually going to be friends with people. Because if you get the humour, then I think that you've got a good sense of humour.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think it's a good way of distinguishing.
Yeah, so why do you think? So obviously, I've never watched it with a foreign audience, but as New Zealanders, or why do you think people from another country would find it funny?
It's a great question. So I show my friend Nick, who's from Orlando, and he lived in New Zealand for a little bit, so he got the sense of humour, and so he found it funny. Whereas he's shown some of his friends in Orlando because he loves it. He's like, it's my top 5 movies. And he's shown people in Orlando and they don't get it at all. So I'm not too sure. It's yeah, he likes it because he likes the New Zealand humour, so he gets it. Whereas I think it's British humour, so I think it was shown a lot in the UK. They get it as well.
Yeah, I think with I don't know, maybe if you don't know an Australian or something like that, I don't know whether you find it funny or not. What do you reckon, Si?
I just love how Simps adopted it as a New Zealand film already. Yeah, I know. I think humour's pretty universal. So I don't think it... I mean, it might help a little bit. You might really get the most out of it if you are Australian or a Kiwi. But I don't I think it's pretty universal, the appeal of this film. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but that would be my guess anyway.
I wouldn't say there's like real like jokes that you have to be local for, but it might just be that attitude and sense of humour, like something you was touching on. That might just be a bit different to a lot of other places. It's definitely, stemming from that British sense of humour. It can be very different to our American folks.
Yeah, a big American fan base.
Yeah.
If you do want to go and watch it, archive.org. If you want to stop now, go back and watch it before you listen, or just listen to us, and hopefully that will make you want to go and watch it again. Personally, I just don't think I would show it to someone. Like, I just never would have thought to show it to someone else from a different country. But there you go.
You got to evangelize.
All right. We'll jump into some best bits shortly. We'll do a vaunted character draft. And then we will recast the castle, if that's possible. So, best bits. We will start with you, Pat. Could be a quote, could be a series of quotes, or just a scene that you really enjoy, or a recurring joke.
I suppose jokes are recurring because the quotes that I took down are ones that I use, I'd say at least weekly. If I reckon my partner would say there's a few in here that I use daily. Definitely looks like everyone's kicked a goal is right up there.
Solid.
Pretty much with any meal. I'm a big fan of if she doesn't hear anything that I say, I just go, "Buck there!" She doesn't like that. I often tell her to suffer in her jocks as well. So those are ones I use around the household the most. And towards my brother, I'm a big fan of just saying "fuck off, you clown." It's a good one when Daryl gets bailed up by the heavies before Stevie comes across with a shotgun. And like I just on rewatch this time, the one I wrote down was the fishing one. Dad reckoned that fishing was 10% brains and 95% muscle, and the rest was just good luck. That was outstanding. I'm always a big fan of the OHP getting reeled out for the neighbourhood meeting just after them talking about it in the Trading Post about 20 minutes earlier. Yeah, that was me. That was all
Clever. Si.
Great, Pat. Fantastic. I think one thing I wanted to say, I mean, I don't think for us there's a more quotable movie. I'm not sure if anyone's mentioned this, but I think it has to be, for a huge portion of people our age, the most quotable movie ever.
It's like one of those comedians who just does one-liners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Use it all the time.
Yeah, so Pat's taken a few of mine in the back there. It's brilliant. And I'm just going to go back to the well of Pat really talking about his dad and the best of Hey Hey at Saturday. So that part's great, but I want to mention Dale's facials. It's not even a quote, just Dale's facials changing from absolutely stoked to then quite sad because he realizes that Wayne isn't there.
The recurring joke is quite funny when he walks in the room and then does the same thing.
Yeah, when Tracy's there.
Yeah.
When Daryl threatens to send some nude photos of Tracy when she was a kid to The Price is Right, and he does great facials there. I'm laughing.
Oh, Dad!
Yeah. And Dale's just a superstar, isn't he? But my other line that Dale says is, when they are having dinner, the TV is definitely turned down. I've got lots more, so I'll save a few.
Oh, outstanding.
Simpo.
I've got a few. The one that I this time cracked up probably the most of the whole movie was when they're in Bonnie Doon and he goes, "Look at the dogs. Don't they love it?"
They're just like standing
And they're just
around, all
standing
tied
around.
up.
I've said that at school so many times to like kids that are just sitting down doing nothing. I'm like, look at you, don't you love it? And it makes me laugh, as you can tell, every single time.
That's good.
Anytime Con just dumbs something down for them. So when they cut to Con and Trace goes, it was complimentary, wasn't it, Con? Yeah, it was free. And then, hair dehydrates, doesn't it, Con? Yeah, it loses its moisture. Like, he clearly just thinks they're absolute idiots.
No, the way he says it is the best. It loses its moisture.
There's a real good Dale bit at the start where he says it's worth almost as much today as when we bought it.
That's good.
That made me
really
laugh
good.
as well. And then another real good Dale bit as well where he says they're having dinner and she makes rissoles. And he goes, she gets Silverside and she'll crush it. She'll crush that too. And he's like so proud of her for like crushing the meat. I've got more, but I'll skip for you, Sam, so you can get in there as well because there's too many to name. To be fair,
yeah, it's worth almost as much today as when you bought it. Is part of the most epic opening scene in a movie I've seen in a long time. That Dale commentary is absolute gold. I had half a page of quotes written for it.
the opening stanza is unbelievable.
If only she had known the price of luggage. And I don't know why I found it so funny, but when he was like, as the bride's father, I don't mind paying for the wedding, but could you please stop busting all them plates?
Great line.
I forgot about the Price is Right bit. The old man used to love that bit about her just losing out because Mum was on the Price is Right in New Zealand. He used to lose in it. That's whenever they were talking about the Price is Right. Well, I think she was probably sporting a similar haircut to Trace as well.
Oh, so good. Her hair is hilarious the whole way through. Like,
it's brilliant.
It's an awful mop, and she's a hairdresser as well. Like, it's classic. Being in Melbourne, Sunshine TAFE is a shithole. Like, everyone knows it's a shithole, and so him being so proud of her graduating from there is one of the great moments as well. That's quite like a local joke. Like, you know that if you live in Melbourne, it's terrible, and so that always makes me giggle as well.
Yeah, one of my best friends
is a head of hair.
One of my best friends, Bridget, married Nick, who's Greek, and at their wedding, honestly, the amount of times I said, I don't mind paying for the wedding, but would you stop busting those bloody plates? Probably 10 to 15 times, just pissing everybody off.
And I reckon Pat's going to take this, so I'm going to take it before he does, because I know he was a valuer in another life, but between you and me, I reckon values around here are...
That whole scene.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Is it you, Pat, or you, Simon? One of you go.
Pat, you can add to that scene if you want, Pat.
Oh, when he's not allowed to build on the second half of his section. He's like, nothing serious. What do you know about lead? It's really the best part. But no more quotes from me. But I think probably touched on earlier. It's the quotes are so identifiable. Like I speak in quotes constantly because I just watched way too many movies growing up. Like I always used to say, like whenever Alice asked what pizza I'd want, I'd always say French fries and Oreos. And I didn't remember for like the last 5 years until I rewatched Mr. Deeds that's what it's off. Every quote on the castle, like if you use it, you 100% know it's straight from the castle. Like it's
definitely.
just got its own vibe, if you will.
It's that valuation scene. That valuer, like he's just incredulous at Daryl's lack of any ability to comprehend, the dangers of lead, and that part where he's showing him, the fake chimney and everything. And he finally breaks like 50. He's like, why is it there? Charm. Adds a bit of charm.
I used to go to like any new valuation job I did, I'd just be like walking up the driveway praying that I'd get a Daryl to come out and just make my day a hell of a lot more fun because it wasn't the most entertaining job.
Well, one other quote that I wanted to add to Ben's con one that I'm surprised you didn't use, Ben. was that I've heard you say this one many, many times, and it was a credit to the airline.
Yeah, that is one of the great lines.
You love that line, eh?
I love
You
that
love
line.
that line. You say
It makes
that
me
line.
laugh.
And of course, Dale's incessant questioning about what movies were on the plane is an absolute gem.
Twister? We saw Twister?
What movie was first?
Oh.
Because it's real funny already, right? But like it was genuinely this big deal about airline flying. Like you got to watch a movie.
On those tiny screens down the middle of the aisle.
Yeah. I flew to England in 2008 Lufthansa, and I still didn't. I was like ripping the fabric of the chair in front of me to find my mini TV, and it wasn't there. And we watched like Fred Claus, I think, like once 12 hours. It was a horrible stuff.
You missed the. I'm so impressed with your fighting quality, Mr. Kerrigan. Simpy, anything more?
Yeah, got a couple more. I love Yvonne's cameo. I definitely say get your hand off at Daryl a lot. She's in. She speaks in one scene, and that's her line. It's so good.
Yeah.
Con losing faith in the justice system and then regaining his faith when the end of the movie happens is real good. The last one I had was Boggs and Cash is funny. Just being from Australia, that movie that cracks me up because we definitely just had that. That was like a Australian thing where Wogs and Cash was just a classic. Like that was the stereotype, and so that line always makes me laugh as well. Yeah. And just how shit Sal is at doing anything, like the pottery, the ergonomic chairs that she redesigns. Like everything she does is so terrible, and they just love it, and that it makes me laugh.
That would be a good segue to our mini game, but I've got a few more things that have been left unsaid, which I've never picked up before, and I just cracked. Well, I probably have. I just found them so funny this time. Was when I can't remember if he's talking to Jack or Farouk, and Farouk's just had the valuer there, and he's like, 65,000 for your place. And Steve, beams aren't supporting. Reckon we put a hold on the mezzanine. Yeah, better give that guy a call about the spiral staircase. He's holding it for me. That was fucking gold. And when Steve pulls the gun on that guy, and Daryl's real pissed off at him, and then like in the middle of shouting at him, he's like, "What did you pay for it?" Fucking gold. So anything else that needs to be mentioned that hasn't been?
I was just going to talk about a little bit just about with it holding up. I was wondering whether like teenagers these days would find it as funny as we did when we were teenagers, because you look at like the money thing, like they got 65 grand or whatever.
Yeah.
Today is like nothing, obviously, and so like the 25 grand extra that they're going to pay them and things like that. I don't know whether people today, like kids these days, would watch it and go and get those kind of things. Like I just don't know whether it would be funny for them.
No, smart kids would find it funny, and also smart kids would understand inflation, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe late teens, perhaps, as opposed to early teens. That would be my recommended time to watch. Not because it's like inappropriate, but I think that's when you get the most out of it.
Yeah, the most value, eh?
Yeah, the only bit that I didn't think held up was when he said about the wogs with cash.
Oh, it's definitely a racist comment. Like that's classic Australia.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely lived up to the stereotypes that all of Australia has about wogs at the time.
I think obviously the script is so, because it sort of plays dumb. It's it's so clever, that line about the fishing earlier, the 10% or 95% and 10%, and the rest was good luck. So clever as well as funny. But I think they did a really good job on sort of mixing up the cut scenes between narrating and someone else speaking. Like that really quite an emotional speech that Wayne does from prison about Dad not having failed them. And it's getting pretty emotional, and then all of a sudden it changes from Wayne's voice to I've forgotten
Dale.
our narrator Dale. So Dale's voice, and it ends up, can go and get fucked, and it kind of I wasn't supposed to say that, but like it kind of just removes that heaviness of it, and that's really clever. And the other real clever part is the narrating. And the narrator says something, and then the character will repeat it. Like my dad says, "Steve's an ideas man. He's an ideas man, our Steve." Like just that sort of thing, just kind of adds another dimension to it that is pretty clever.
There's one bit, with Dale and Wayne, because we haven't talked about Wayne a lot, but there's one bit in the narration, I believe he goes, "We could just chat for hours." He's like, "Oh, you good? How's Steve? He's all right." That cracks me up.
That bit is so good that he's
Chewy?
all right.
Want some chewy?
A bit that was mentioned a little bit earlier was, just as we segue into the character draft, was Sal's cooking. So we're just going to go quickly round table. So you can pick from one of 4 things. You can pick, if someone picks it, you can pick it as well. Which was Sal's best? The sponge cake dusted with icing sugar, rissoles, chicken with seasoning, or ice cream scooped from the punnet?
Could be any of them. It depends, It's what she's done with it.
I genuinely think the sponge cake looks like a legit sponge cake. Like she's knocked a great sponge up, I think, there, to be fair.
You're going for the sponge?
I'd go for the sponge.
Me too. Sponge cake.
I'll take the ice cream because I feel looking at the state of her pottery and other things, I think, the less real sort of manual effort she's put in, the better.
Yeah, that sponge. I'll go sponge cake too. It looks store bought. All right, so we are going with the character draft. Now I have randomized the order of the draft, and I have it here in front of me. Simpy, you have drawn first pick. Simon, you have drawn second pick.
Okay.
I have gone third pick. So Pat, you have 4th and 5th. Bang bang.
Happy with second.
Yeah. First pick for me. I just think I'm going to I don't think a lot of people will agree with me, and I don't care, because every scene he is in, it makes me laugh every single time. The credits of the airline, which I use regularly, the restored his faith in the justice system.
Gone.
A kickboxing montage where he's spinning around and not even doing anything and throwing the weak-ass punches at the bag. Everything he does makes me laugh in that movie, so my number 1 pick is the scene stealer, is Con.
It's a strong pick.
Very, very happy with him. Little fun tidbit, that was Eric Bana's first ever movie that he was in.
Wow.
So I'm happy to have Con in my corner.
It's such I haven't watched a lot of Eric Bana movies, but he's in a lot of, like, was he like, what's that?
Troy.
Something of Troy, or is he in Troy or something?
Yeah, does a lot of staring these days.
Simon.
Wow. Okay. Well, I was kind of happy with second because I just assumed that my choice would be easy because I thought there were 2 clear cuts for first and second, and now my choice has become a little bit harder. So I'm picking between the 2 Ds. Well, there are 3 Ds. The one that we haven't mentioned yet, the fantastic lawyer. But I think for me, I'm going to go with Daryl Berrigan, just because it's principles, really.
I mean, you can't go wrong.
That is a man with principles.
You can't go
Daryl
wrong
was
with
my number 1.
Yeah.
All right. Well, makes my pick pretty easy. I didn't mind third pick, but I can't believe he's fallen this far. I will scoop.
Michael Jordan fell to 3.
He did. I will scoop the Michael Jordan of this movie, Dale, up.
He's a great pick.
Mainly for his hole digging prowess.
Sure.
But I kind of, going into this, I don't think I rated Dale as highly as this time watching through, as Simon mentioned. with the way the movie does it, how he narrates something and then it happens in the movie or it's mentioned in the movie, is great. The opening scene alone would have possibly made me pick him number one. He is just so fucking gold. His face. He's not the MJ either. Was he played by Stephen Curry?
Stephen Curry, yeah.
Not Stephen Curry, but Stephen Curry.
I was just going to say, his when he pops up on screen for that opening montage, just even looking at him, it just makes you laugh. Just the way that his like facial expression is, and the hair, and everything about him. It's just perfect.
Yeah, happy with that. I think Pats can't lose this with his 4-5, but we'll see.
Yeah, my number 4 is going to be the great lawyer Dennis Denudo. I don't think you can have printer/copier issues without F3. What the fuck is that? Go through your head. If you can have issues scanning a document and not think of that, you've had a disturbed childhood. He is an absolute ripper.
As seen on TV.
Reminds me. Yeah. He's good. His big career advancement at the end after this court case as well is pretty awesome.
Offering us drinks of water.
She doesn't work Mondays. She works Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And for my 5th pick, because whenever we do these, I've got to have some weird and way off centre. So I'm going to scoop Farouk.
I knew you.
He has one absolute ripper.
You have friend, I have friend. My friend go to your house, put bomb under your car, and blow you to fucking sky. It's bloody good stuff.
Yeah, Farouk, good little pick. I am going to win the draft right here with Steve. Was contemplating having to take him at 3, and the fact that he's just dropped to me at 6 is just gold. His face in pretty much every scene is friggin' amazing.
Hearing the brothers, you've done well.
His hair, the ongoing bit about what does he want for it, is just fantastic, and he finds himself a little family at the end, which is just great. Si?
Yeah. So I guess I'm choosing between Trace, Sal, and Wayne.
Not necessarily.
Couple others.
Not necessarily.
At this point. Although, no, that's what I'm choosing between, really. I think she's not a funny character, but the matriarch of the family, Sal, is kind of it kind of ties it all together, and you need that kind of, it's hard to call her serious with all her, inventions and creations, but I feel like without her, it lacks a bit of gravitas. So I'll go with Sal for my 2nd pick.
Can't believe you've taken Sal off the board.
Yeah, Sal, 7th pick, and Simpy, you're left with the 8th pick. Who are you pairing Con with?
Wow, I mean, there's an obvious choice to pair Con with, obviously, but I just wanted to bring up Sal for a second because I had her at 4 on my big board.
Wow.
She cracked me up this time. I watched it again on Tuesday last week, so about a week ago.
Great actress.
And she cracked me up. Like everything she did, her mugs, her like hair. When she comes out of the haircut from Trace, she's got that terrible plane going over. Sorry.
Is there actually a plane going over where you are recording right now?
Yeah,
that is very apt. Very
perfect.
That's perfect.
When she comes out, she's got all the curls, and her hair looks fucking awful. And she's just like, everything about Sal makes me laugh this time. She's hilarious. But go with that. The person doing the hair is going to have to be my 8th pick because she's hilarious as well. And so I'm going to pair the lovebirds, and I'll happily take Con and Trace. The kickboxing couple.
Nice.
Not upset
Nice.
with that. She he has a good moments, old Trace. And when you know someone called Trace, it's so great to say to them, "Hold it still, Trace," all the time. So,
And at the end, when the child of Conan Trace is getting into kickboxing, and and she's holding the bag, and Con's like, got his hands up, like you can't hear him, but he's clearly saying, hold it still.
the only other person I considered at 8 that I had on my board was the Valuer, just because of his. Obviously, we talked about it earlier, but just the way he listens to Daryl's bullshit is so funny.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, got to take the Lovebirds to pair my two.
Well, what's the lawyer's name though? What's the
Laurie or Lawrence?
Laurie.
Lawrence Hamill.
Yeah.
Laurie's pretty good though.
I thought about picking his son, who appears for 20 seconds.
That line where Daryl says they use Dennis, and he's like, never heard of him. It's fantastic.
That chat, actually, we didn't talk about that in the best bits, but the chat between Daryl and Laurie is real good when he's like, I bet you didn't think you'd be able to do that. Yeah, so good.
No, where was it? Where he's like, that's such a good bit where he says, I'm pretty confident, and then it cuts to the court, and he's like, I find in favour of the respondent, and he's like, yes.
We was responding to them.
Yeah. All right. Before we recast the show, I've got another little mini game, and this is we're going to do Steve's. What do you want for it? So you need to pick your best bargain or just your favourite of the lot, and I'll start with the cheapest. So we can go chicken coop, $25. Radar, $70. Pays for itself. Gun, $180. Ergonomic chairs, set of 4, $180. Oh no, OHP, $150. Jousting sticks, $450. And a pulpit. Or pulpit, what is it? Pulpit.
Pulpit.
$800. So, which one do you want? Pat?
I'd have to go with the jousting sticks, just for the unique factor.
You'd have to pay half price for those jousting sticks, though.
What do you want with jousting sticks? Yeah, I'll go jousting sticks.
Nice jousting sticks. Sim?
It's a tough decision, to be fair. The pulpit cracks me up, obviously, because why do you need one of those? Probably the radar. Like a good radar.
Does pay for itself.
It does. Probably the most usable of all the options they get. Maybe the chicken coop, but the ergonomic chairs are also hilarious, just the fact that they have them and they look terrible. But yeah, I'll take the radar.
Radar? Yeah, nah. I'm going to get that OHP and wheel it into my 6th form maths teacher's class, who used OHTs every single lesson, probably for 15 years. All right. Recasting. So Pat actually sent this ahead to me. But do you want to take it away, Pat?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the quicker ones I've done. But also, as we say every time, don't recast this movie, don't remake it. But for shits and giggles, we'll have Daryl Kerrigan played by Rusty Russell Crowe. Sal to be played by Tony Collette. Keeping it very Australian here. Trace is going to be played by Margot Robbie.
Yeah, nice. Margot, I reckon it would be Margot's dream role. She'd love it.
Oh, 100%. She would revel in that.
Con will be Chris Hemsworth. Dennis Denuto, played by Hamish Blake of Hamish and Andy fame. The funny one of those. Lawrence Hamill, the QC. We're going to return Eric Banner to play that role. Steve, we're going to have Brogan Kelly from Auntie Donna. It's an Australian comedian. Australian comedian. Auntie Donna's a comedic group. And lastly, Dale Kerrigan can be played by Rhys Darby.
Oh yeah, I like that. That's a great one.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That is probably your best work there, Pat,
He's the guru. He's the guru.
as the guru.
Um,
You've got something else, Simon?
yeah, I mean, I think when I did teach it at the school, you kind of realise. I'm sure this is not like unique thought. So I just want to make that really clear. But like, I think what makes it even better that you didn't realise as a kid is that it's, I think at least, is like an allegory for the treatment of Indigenous Australians, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think that adds to the film a lot. Like, you know, the settlers, the white settlers, you know, to them, the land was worthless. It was ugly. It didn't mean anything, you know, much like Sal's horrible, you know, bad taste things. But it's very, very cleverly done. You know, it's not whacked over the head with it. There's a few subtle references to Terra Nullius and Mabo in the trial, which kind of makes it, I think, a bit more clear. But yeah, and I think obviously Daryl says the line about I'm starting to think about how the Aborigines feel.
Yeah, hard out. It was great. I didn't pick that up until this time.
Yeah, and I think it's a very clever allegory to the treatment of Indigenous Australians by the white settlers, which I think we talk about. We don't even need to discuss that if the movie holds up, really, because it obviously does. But I think that part, the tragedy of the treatment of the Indigenous Australians, makes it hold up even more.
So Mabo was it like 92 or something?
Eddie Mabo.
Well, that whatever that was, that court case, that was 92.
Don't know the exact year.
Yeah, I'm not sure on it.
I think I read something that said it was 5 years, released 5 years after Mabo.
I think one thing as well that with it holding up, watching it this time around, and like I haven't watched it since I've had children, and then obviously having a home myself now. Actually, at the end of it, I was like, when they does the whole, you know, Laurie does his great little monologue about your house is your home and your home's your castle and da 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 da. Like I was a little bit like, ooh, I got a little bit of like a bit emotional about it. I think, and that is quite impressive for a movie that is written so simply, and it does just all one-liners, is to then actually it does have quite a lot of, I guess, gravitas behind it. Especially this time, I was like, oh yeah, I feel a bit of that, because obviously, like where your family is your home, not just a house. And so, yeah, I think that's why I love it. To me, it's the best movie ever made. But you know,
Woo!
Big shout.
Anything else to be said?
Not from me. Wonderful film. Thoroughly enjoyed talking about it.
Yeah. Cheers. Thanks again, Simpy. I think we'll try and get you on for a Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet in a few weeks, maybe.
well, I'll be all over that. Not the best movie ever made, but a very, very good movie.
So thanks for listening. And just between you and me, I reckon podcast downloads are going to